His lunch got started already all over and spring come up. Both of those guys do. Back out. It's their turn.
I just had to make you get up. You did.
Then do it at Dallas's
Oh,
house.
I was standing.
So our house invaded by
Okay. I don't know if that
dogs
was
that bring kids.
here. There it goes. My daughter, that used to be, come over to help, and she would even bring some dishes with her
Yeah.
before she got disabled, and so she's not able to help too much. She does kind of help clean up with the dishes and stuff. But I got hopes for my baby's daughter-in-law. I think it's pretty serious. I think they're probably next year or so.
Be good.
But she, the first time she over more like a guest, which is fine. She was. But like at Thanksgiving, she came in, what can I do now? I'll do the dishes. Can I help you cook somewhere? And I'm like, okay. There's a promise.
So part of this uncomfortable experience of what everybody.
And she's been a special sweet person. Oh, I haven't been a person.
Whenever you're ready. Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order at 9 o'clock. First item of business is approving the minutes from the previous meeting. Speed reader, okay. All right, we will accept them as presented and move on to the March 5th preferential primary, non-partisan. Well, you've got all of them there. Jennifer?
Okay, so you have a sampling of the, what would be the absentee ballots. And then I've just printed one of what the express vote ballot will look like. The sampling of ballots, I've got a little guide there, is by precinct that would show you if you wanted to look, for instance, each justice of the peace, how they look on the ballot, each state representative, how they look, the one state senate, the constable, and the school. There's not a lot to look at the ballot because most of the offices are unopposed. And so sometimes it'll just be a single name. And yeah, the only contested race we have on the Dem side is the presidential. And then on the Republican side is presidential, US Congress, state representative 24, constable 1 and 2, and then nonpartisan. There are the judges races and then 1 school board race for Siloam Springs.
Oh, yeah.
We've removed all of the school candidates off the ballot and all of the nonpartisan judicial that can unopposed. And then we did edit the language for the vote for all unopposed candidates.
okay.
If you wanted to review.
That's good.
If you wanted to review that.
I kind of like it too. I mean, it does pretty much state exactly what it's all about, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So we put a little different language on it, so yeah, which is the same language we use for the 2022 general.
Okay.
Have you sent these to the candidates to prove?
We will, once the commission approves,
Got
then
it.
we will send out the Excel list that shows the candidate's name so they can see how it appears. And then, of course, the district relations is the other part. The only thing I don't have in front of you today, and we can come back in January, because we'll need to approve some precincts for Greenland annexation elections. And so I'll have those ballot samples at that point.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to acknowledge that I misspoke on our ballot draw. Tom brought it to my attention that I said Mary Ann Wilson and not Mary Ann Williamson.
Oh, not a big deal. but-
And I want to apologize for having done so. Apparently I did it repeatedly. So there was just something about that name that I overlooked. So, anyway, I apologize wherever Mary Ann Williamson is. I'm used to people mispronouncing names.
Well, we
Not
did,
yours.
we did have a presidential candidate actually call us. You know, I
Really?
send out letters every year for the
Uh-huh.
campaigns. And we had a presidential candidate himself, not a staffer,
Wow.
call to see how his name appeared on the ballot. So,
Okay.
so
Surprising.
I was really surprised. Of course,
Who was
I
that?
It was, yeah, Stephen P. Lyons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so, I
Sounds
was
valid.
I had a meeting and wasn't in there, and so I was like, oh, I need to do it, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we get some attention here, huh? Okay.
And the only other thing on the express vote ballots, if you'll look, we have scooted the names over, not quite centered, because when I got into the had Debbie looking at it, the nonpartisan ones, because of the length of their names, looked a little funny centered.
Oh,
But we did scoot them over a little bit, and the reason is when their name falls right under that little bitty square in the
Mhm.
top,
mhm.
the voters try and hit that little bitty square,
Oh, and they don't
And-
have to hit them.
and they only have to just touch
Yeah.
And so maybe this will help them touch the name and not try and touch the little square.
Mhm.
The new software update that we'll get, for 2026 will remove that little square.
Oh, good.
So that we do, but a lot of times the voters think that the ballot is flipping their vote.
Right.
It has more to do with that they're trying to touch in that little square and their finger touches the candidate above.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so,
The whole thing is a button, not just the little square.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
yeah, but people like to, and we tell touch the name
Mhm.
to try and, but so we scooted them out just a little bit
I like it.
to maybe prevent part of that. And most of the ballots will just be, all the absentee ballots are just front only. So nothing that goes on the back. Most of the, express vote ballots, on the Republican side will be just 2 pages. So this will be a fast ballot for
Wow.
voters
Yeah.
to vote.
So really, once again, it's going to be not what we would expect as normal, but as I mean, the number of people who will vote quickly will be amazing.
Yeah, so to be able to get in and out rather quickly.
That's really good. Do you have anything that needs to be highlighted other than what you've said?
I think that is it, regards to that. Now, when I do publish the notice, I don't have the notice because it's not complete. I have included on the notice the name of the school board candidates and the names of the nonpartisan judicial who do not appear on the ballot, with a note on the notice saying, their names will not appear on the ballot.
Pardon my ignorance, why do we have political practice pledges?
So if you wanted to prove or see, that's what we
Oh,
have
okay.
for Siloam Springs. Those are the only 2 contested candidates from Siloam Springs, and so that's what I had to prove. That's what I used to prove.
Okay.
The other paperwork is the paperwork from the SOS's office in regards to the name of the candidates. And then, of course, the certification list from the county clerk's office.
Anything, are we, approving all of this stack of information, or is this just information?
That is just information. Yes, these are the documents we use to proof the ballot.
Right.
We don't ever use anything that I create. We always use, the documents that were given to us and certified. And so if you wanted to look at a name or anything like that, that is what we use.
Good job. This looks really good.
Mhm.
And it's going to be here before we know.
Yeah. That's that Ryan. Representative district.
That will be probably one we'll have to ask and look up. So the next task that Debbie and Lacey will do is create the audio ballot. So they have to go in
Oh,
to
yeah.
each name and listen how it pronounces it, and then go in and make adjustments to the actual pronunciation
Wow.
of the name. And so that's their next task.
Wow.
Cool. How many folks use the audio ballot each election?
We don't.
What events?
We don't know because it's not something that we keep track of, but.
I know we have to do it, it's ADA, I was just curious.
Yeah, I would say 20 people, 20, 30 people, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe use it, maybe more.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Okay, now you've got some colored paper
it's
between.
just separating out the different, like the first ballot that you see is for state senate district 29, that's the
Okay.
only state senator that's on the ballot. Then the next set is for the representative, so,
Oh,
and it goes in the order of the representative numbers, 9,
Okay.
11,
okay.
and then the next set is the JPs. And then the next set is the constables, and then finally is the school,
Okay.
is how I have it sorted. And some of the ballots are duplicates, but when we proofed the list, but then we actually proof off the face of the ballot as well.
Mm,
And so this gave us a really good sampling of ballots to prove,
Okay.
and that we actually looked at how every name appeared on the ballot, because we don't want those funny splits.
Right.
Like, for instance, if your name was, if it was justice of the peace, and then your first name, we want justice of the peace on one line, and then the candidate's full name on the bottom line. So those were the types of things we were looking at yesterday as well. All the nonpartisan candidates, we broke at justice after their name to keep, so that was consistent,
Mm,
in regards to that.
I work on. You've done a good job. And really, I'm amazed at how simple the ballots.
Yeah, for real.
We were, you,
I almost feel like, we should hold our breath to make sure that there's not something that's not there.
There's still a chance, right?
Yeah,
we will, our next steps is we've done this preliminary approval, and we've proofed all the names off the sheets. We've proofed all the names on the stamp on the ballot. Then our next step will actually, we will go through every single ballot face to make sure every single ballot face has all the appropriate races on it, all the appropriate candidate names, and all of that. So it should, because
Yeah.
all of our reports turned out correctly, but we will actually take that step.
and we
further.
still, if I recall correctly, we still have the potential until the end of the year for our West Fork initiative or something,
It's
right?
Greenland,
Oh, it's a Greenland.
yes, so I will bring back Greenland ballots for you to approve individually, in January, the 1st of
Okay.
January. They met last night, so they should
Oh,
have their annexation, language. And then the quorum court doesn't meet until next week, and that's when, they will pass a resolution for the commission to hold an election for the.
So it is
Sunday
going
ballot.
forward
Yeah,
then.
it's good.
Yes, it is, it's on the agenda, but I don't want to, have you sign
Sure.
on the notice of election
Yeah.
until we have everything filed and certified.
But we've got plenty of room for it, right?
Yes, even on the Greenland ballot, when we add all of that, it all fit on the front. I don't think anything fell onto the back for the Greenland ballot, Greenland City.
For the absentee.
Yeah.
Everything was on.
Yeah,
Good.
so,
It was full.
Yeah. But I mean, we've got an extra column, why don't we fill it, right?
yeah. And I think taking the instructions and making it a smaller box
Mm,
really helped us keep everything on the page.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also on that Excel sheet, I've shown you where there is a candidate, Republican or Democrat too. So that you can, because some of them might not have a Democratic candidate, or they might have a Republican candidate for that precinct.
Yeah.
And so
precinct we have in what?
300 and, is it 23?
So,
That's math, it's 300, it's 978 divided by 30.
And that right now includes, we had to create 4. We had to create 4 or 5 unique precincts for this annexation. That's the other thing the commission will need to sign off is
Oh, okay.
we're adding precincts, but they're only for this specific reason. But since they are an added precinct, the commission will decide
Right.
saying that that's what they're for. And they'll go away after the annexation. They'll be
Oh.
absorbed into the city of Greenland. But in order to make sure the voters get the correct ballots, and we have to pull them, because they're in Greenland Township 1 and 2, which means, but it's only parts of Greenland Township 1 and 2. So we have to actually pull those voters out into a unique precinct, so they get the opportunity to vote on the annexation,
Got it.
and not everyone else does.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, you're not gonna have a problem with like 1 or 2 in that precinct, are you?
No, there's multiple. I think there's enough voters that they won't
It'll all be
identify. Yeah, I think so. That is one thing with an annexation election. Once it's filed, then the clerk should receive a list of the streets that are in those precincts, so she can go ahead and those voters get notified of the annexation. There's a whole set of things that'll happen for those voters in that area. But we have to identify what those precincts would be in order to build the appropriate ballots for them.
Okay.
What direction is Greenland trying to go?
Well,
North, south, east,
it's,
east and west?
yeah, and there's parts of it that are actually in the city of Greenland, like little islands that I guess they just included in part of it too. But yeah, this is the little areas are the parts that they're trying to annex into the city.
The ones that are barred.
Yeah, with the
Cities
little
are-
stripes, that's the
Oh,
area,
okay, got it.
yeah.
and
Yeah,
There.
so I went and met with Becky and sit down with her to, make sure we
Basically,
built the right precinct.
basically along 49.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Mm,
That makes sense.
Yeah,
That's where the commercial stuff.
yeah, I was gonna say any future taxes and development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so kind of
Yeah.
a clarification,
Thank you.
what these providers need to give.
Yes, so I have given you a set of ballots that goes state senate, and then there's a divider, and then it's the state reps. And then a divider and JPs, and then constable, and then school. And so that way, if you use the little cheat sheet, you could, if you started at the beginning,
Is that what that sheet?
yeah. The very first ballot, you're gonna have a Senate 29 on there. And then the next set of ballots, you're gonna be looking for state representatives, so you should see a 9, 11, 18, that list. And then I've shown you that there's a Democratic and Republican candidate, so you'll know, so for instance, these ballots, when you get to the Republican one, there's not gonna be anything on it. And then justice of the peace, we'll go 1 through 15, and then constable. And then school.
Good. So when you get to the school.
The school I just
School is
gave you
a-
nonpartisan.
a Special election.
No, for the school ones, I just gave you the nonpartisan set instead of the Republican and Democrat, because it all looks the same on all the ballots. The same with the nonpartisan.
This is just a sampling.
We don't have 900.
You would have 978,
78, did you say?
yeah. So the idea is if you prove the name like presidents on one ballot, that they're on all ballots, that they will be exactly the same. So that's what I have created.
We appreciate you not giving us 978. Especially to go over here. We'd be here all day.
And then I do also send the school districts their ballots so that they can approve the millage language on their ballot as well.
Which basically they should be responsible for because you just cut and paste for the most.
We did, except for West Fork School District, they sent us different ballot language this year. So we put that on the ballot, and then we have proofed it multiple times. And in fact, Joyce and Debbie Sapinski sat down yesterday and did the whole letter by letter.
Oh, good.
Throughout every name, every office, and the West Fork millage language, and the others are cut and paste.
Okay.
And so
So where did these?
this came from the SOS's office, so this is the certified list of candidates to us from the SOS's office.
I know it's not a big thing, but on these, school district spacing things, I'm looking specifically at the Springdale School Millage and the Fayetteville School Millage. The second line abruptly goes to the third line because it's a parenthetical statement. It has to all be together like that.
We can,
I mean, it's not a,
No, it doesn't have. I mean, I
okay,
wouldn't think so, right?
well, that's my thought, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about your machinery, how it's gonna respond.
I'm not sure, but I mean, that
Okay.
was the way it put it in there. It didn't want to break up.
Yeah.
Right, right, yeah.
It's weird that it's programmed that way.
we can go and look.
See
to
if,
see-
yeah, see if you've got a way
Yeah.
to, make that space properly, because at this point, it looks a little awkward.
It doesn't need to all be on one line.
You
I mean,
wouldn't-
there's
you
no,
wouldn't
there's
think-
no.
no, there's no
it needs to
reason.
be. I agree. I thought it was
But
great,
it's the,
The other thing we'll do too on the school millages is we'll go through and make sure it doesn't cut words in half.
oh, yeah,
Sometimes
good.
it does that too.
Okay,
So we definitely can look to see if, I see what you're talking about, it's on the Lincoln one too.
and the Prairie Grove one.
Okay, we'll see what we can do to adjust that, I agree, it does look odd. If
Mhm.
we can't, it is because the software did not allow.
I know,
We'll see
I know.
what- We'll see what, we'll see.
I kind of figured that was the reason,
We'll see what we can do. for
but
that.
it's just,
The
visually disturbing.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
we had it justified, yeah. The county clerk's office, so she certified, I really wanted to think how they're doing that.
Yeah, it is. So,
Oh,
I
is it on
know.
there?
Yeah, it was on Lincoln, yeah, so we'll go in and see what adjustment we can make for that.
Okay,
That-
yeah, I hadn't noticed it there.
Yeah.
So if you really are gonna look and compare, you would compare to here, and you can compare to one of these. Uh,
One year, I prepared the document that everybody approved off of, and I misspelled the candidate's name wrong, so we proofed it incorrectly
Mhm.
the entire election. So I've learned to only use the originals
Original.
that are certified to it.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Uh,
I learned
I
that.
needed to,
Bravo,
identify.
West Fork is.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hey, and it does, on the West Fork ballot, it does, space statewide uniform rate on 2 lines.
So,
So it's the
So
one where
it
we.
can,
But I have that one.
oh, did you?
Yeah. The only one.
Ah.
The one that they weren't able to scan and
Yeah.
mhm.
That's, well,
Thanks.
Debbie, you're better than the computer by far. Okay. Well, I guess what we need is a a motion to go forward on what you presented. And obviously, it's still work in progress, but I finding a mistake in all of this would be impressive. But we need a motion to go forward, and obviously, if there's any minor error, to correct it. If there's a major error, to give us a heads up.
I'll make the motion to that effect.
And I will say.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Looks
proceed.
good, good job.
So these will not be due to the county clerk's office till January 18th.
18?
Yes,
Okay,
so we have time, and then we always, will actually print out an actual deck of absentee ballots, run through the machine before we actually release it to the county clerk's office.
and early voting starts on the 20th of February,
The
right?
20th, yes.
Be here before we know.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, well, item 2 and 3 and 4 are basically the same. No. Pardon me. Item 4 is data. We're looking at sites now. Where's the site?
So this is, and I want to print it one, for the commission to sign, but this is the early voting sites, and the election day sites,
Oh,
and the emergency closure language, for the commission, to approve.
The emergency closure, just as a reminder, is basically if there's a significant weather or other event that we can close everything but the courthouse.
Yes.
Okay.
And I, sent it to the county attorney for her to look at the language and she approved the language.
okay.
So,
Is that an assistant county attorney or something?
yeah, I sent it to Catherine.
And these are all sites that we've discussed.
What were the two that we, discussed with,
Last time.
for the first week? Was it Westport and
Elephants.
Elkins?
Yeah.
And they were both in the right. This matches up with what we talked about last week. We did close some Saturdays, they kept, reopened on the first Saturday and fourth, it was like on the second Saturday. So,
And the ones that were open are the ones that we've had and they're larger, right?
Yes, the third Saturday, on the third location on the first Saturday is that Rice Physical Therapy, because it's only open Friday and Saturday.
Right.
Yeah,
The other two was the courthouse and then, Elmdale, and that I'm going to have to adjust, because as I'm looking at it, I failed to add American Legion.
I was looking for American.
So
Sorry, look.
I did. So I can, we can sign this and add an addendum that we're adding American Legion. This is not the notice, but we can, that way I can go ahead and get this posted on the website.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
This also is not due until January 5th as well. So if there were any other things that cropped up, we have time to make adjustments, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, just double check it versus that,
Yeah,
that sheet we looked at last.
I changed Awakening and I changed the public library and just filmed it. American Legion here. But I can get these posted to our website along with the links, all the Google Maps and all of that.
And you're posting these ahead of time on the website.
Yes, that's why I wanted the commission to go ahead and approve. I mean, we don't have to approve it until January, but this way I can go ahead and get the information.
Yeah.
Are you emailing all the candidates, their ballot name to review? Is that what we do? How does
Yeah,
that work?
so
That was that law that was passed,
Yeah.
right? We send them
Mhm.
to make sure their name's still correct.
Yes, I will send them a form that,
Is it via email or via US mail?
via email, and it is only for candidates we have email addresses for. So if a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
candidate
yeah.
did not put
Yeah.
their email address on,
I feel like once we get the voting sites nailed down and posted to the website, we should email all the candidates also the location.
yeah, I can do that.
Because I think it'd be helpful for them, so they all know, you
And I
know,
can,
as they're planning ahead.
I can also add in the sites that don't allow, electioneering as
That's what I
well.
was thinking, if you're gonna do that. you better tell them.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. Yeah, definitely we should.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are, you know, asking and whatever. People want to know the info, right?
Yes,
So I
and
feel
the
like,
sooner the better.
yeah, the sooner the better. And the county party chair send it to them.
Oh, yeah,
too,
good
you know.
point. Yeah,
I think the election hearing,
I agree.
and signposting, language should be included, where that it's being, denied.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, when we're sending out that info, so people, so they know, hey, you can't,
it's
you know, electioneer here.
just be on the safe side.
Well, and that law is kind of the way the law is written. Technically, we're not required to send out that information until the day before absentee ballots are due, which says you no good.
Yeah,
If there was a mistake, then and they're not required to respond back, which that is good.
Yeah,
Because
that
we were
is
having to
good.
wait for
There's no
candidates
way
to
that'd
respond
be
back.
Unworkable.
So
Yeah.
we will work on getting this information sent out next week.
And you can do it all at the same time or separate, whatever, it
Yeah.
doesn't. You know, I don't care, just do it, do it. I like this. This is good.
yeah, I do
I
too.
think this is a really good way to have done it.
I think you might want to highlight week 1, week 2.
I will, and so this is just what will get filed with the clerk's office. When I build it on the county website, I'll build it exactly like this,
Okay.
and I'll be able to do more with it. And then with the Canva program too that we purchased, we'll be able to build different types of documents, different postings and different things like this. This is just how it will, official get filed with the clerk's office.
And make it downloadable
Mhm.
if you
I can do a
can.
PDF of it.
PDF. And that way anybody can print it off whenever they need to.
Yeah, I feel like this is easier to read than some of the formats we have had in the past.
Mhm.
You know, so good job.
For each
For
side.
each site, instead of the site and then underneath it, the days it's closed or open, you can just look down, okay, at the
That's
site and then go over.
Yeah.
I think it's. so,
You have asked for that format for a while back.
Have I?
You have, and so
Hilarious.
this year
No
when
wonder I like it.
so this year when I sit down to do it, I was like, okay, let's see if I can build it how that, so.
Yeah.
explain it,
Yeah.
And that's how I laid it down, but yeah, yeah.
Hilarious.
Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Good on all that. Do we need, yeah, we need a motion on that because we're approving the early and election day sites. We've signed it.
I'll make a motion that we, approve the, early and election day, sites as presented.
With that one
With
change.
exception,
Yeah.
is to add
Which
the
one?
Legion,
Which is
to
on
the
the
election day.
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good job, y'all. Okay, next one is meeting dates.
Thought you might like to get calendars going
That would be
for
good.
this year, so I sit down. These are required meeting dates. We do have a little bit of flexibility on the date, but, and then obviously, this does not mean that we can't add additional meetings,
right.
but this is what we would have. Thursday, January the 4th would be our final ballot and the precinct approval, and then actually sign the notice of election that includes all the early vote, the candidates, all of that information on it. That deadline is actually January the 5th, so I have it for us the day before. I didn't put a time, I would assume 9 o'clock, but I wanted to make sure on your calendars that would work.
Should have to turn over a new year.
Mhm.
That's a Thursday. Works for me, 9 o'clock. Hit the ground running here.
Should be as long as I can, make a 12:30 appointment at the VA.
Oh, we should have no problem with that, right? That would be a long meeting. And I'm opposed to long meetings.
Same.
Okay. Let's see, equipment preparation notice on the 16th.
So
We're looking at this list.
yes, and you'll notice on this, the ones that are kind of in the orange I pulled off.
Gotcha.
So Thursday, February the 8th, the commission would need to meet to appoint the election officials and sign the logic and accuracy certification.
That would also probably be at 9 a.m.
Yeah, if that works.
Good with that.
It's also a Thursday. Yeah. Get these things on my calendar early and I won't have any things that go up against them.
Mhm.
And then I set the public test for the Wednesday, February the 7th. That would be a non-commission meeting. If the commission wanted to attend, certainly, but I would need to announce that it's an election commission meeting. But we'll do the same thing we did last time, publicize it and push that information out there. For anyone who wanted to come basically.
Is that gonna be here or is it gonna be at the courthouse?
It'll be here. We had enough space. We had about 10 or 12 people last time.
Oh,
If I feel like we have more public interest, I could move in here
Okay.
and bring the equipment in here, so. And then Tuesday, March 5th, obviously, that's election day. I don't think the full commission needs to be at 10:30, but we would like to start counting the ballots at 10:30. And then election night to meet at 6.
Okay.
We can adjust that election night meeting at 6 if I don't have a ton of absentee ballots. I just don't know what we'll
That's just
have.
preliminary.
Mhm. But one thing that I did notice during the commissioners training, they talked very clearly about all absentee ballots must be counted election night.
Oh.
So any ones that have to be recreated or the election commission has to make a decision on signatures, for instance, those are typically the only ones the commission would need to actually vote on those election night. So
Can we
that
keep that before to the next day?
we've not done the recreation, but we have done the adjudication part, like where
There were
the,
a few of them, when there was a ton of them.
yes, and
Yeah,
so.
okay.
But that was one thing they kept saying over and over again.
Gotta do it.
Gotta do the election night. That's
Okay.
another reason I kind of put 6 o'clock
Yeah,
would give us plenty of time.
okay.
And then Thursday, the provisional ballot review. We do not have a runoff election, so we don't have to worry about prepping for a runoff. 9
That's good
o'clock would
news.
work.
Yeah.
for that.
On which day?
On Thursday, March the 7th.
The election, night on the 25th,
Mhm.
we determine, location, that be here,
It'd be the sheriff's annex. And I will rearrange so that the commission is more integrated
Oh, yes,
into
yes.
what we are doing versus how the public is. So we'll
Okay.
work on that arrangement as well.
Yeah, give that some thought because I know it's with having to do the video. That kind of puts an extra layer into it because you gotta have the video of the commissioners. You gotta have a video of what's going on with the accounting, opening, etc. And unfortunately, that room is not really well designed for a good setup, I don't think. I guess the way I look at it is the public can be an afterthought in terms of setting it up so it works well for us. And then, you know, we can add the public in as a, well, this will work.
Right. I think where we worked in that long space and then there's the opening, I almost think if I put you guys in that opening between the two rooms and then put the public behind you, that puts you closer to us where you can see everything and not.
Right, and it still shouldn't block the video.
No, and we bought extra cords so that
Okay.
we can do that as needed, so we will work on
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Do you have enough light in that room?
Yes, I didn't
Okay.
feel like now outdoors, we will need more light.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was just way too dark,
Right.
for when they were checking in the paperwork and,
Mhm.
because if we can keep the poll workers in their cars, it goes faster. If they have to get out of their car to come in and sign, it just slows the
Yeah,
process down. So, we'll need more lights
Okay.
for outdoors. I'll check to see, the sheriff's office may have something that we can
Oh,
borrow. Or just the planning might have something that we can borrow. I'll check to see what they have
Okay,
in order for lighting for us out there.
okay, good.
On the 14th, is that one at 9 AM?
Yes.
March.
Yes. Yes.
And then the Friday, March the 15th, that one we would have to wait for the mail to come, so I always set it at 1.
Yeah.
That gives us plenty of time for the mail to come, us to go get it, bring it back, and then we canvass and certify.
Okay.
I kind of locked into those dates, the 14th and 15th. So
Yeah.
wiggle room.
Mm.
I mean, now technically, we could try and do everything on the 15th. Count the provisional ballots and the Okava ballots and then certify.
So you have to change it.
I have to
There's a
change
bunch of
too
people
much.
Somewhere in my, in entering the potential stuff to do, family wise,
Oh.
that's in the middle of what's within my calendar as a beach trip.
Oh.
But I don't think anybody's spending money, maybe the actual preparation.
Okay.
I think everybody's sitting around and saying, well, we want to all try to get together and do something.
Hey, also, I hate to say this, but those two things, that's not the election. It wouldn't be a big deal if
That's
you did a
yeah.
family trip.
Yeah, well,
Didn't come to those 2 dates, or you could zoom in,
That's
and
true.
join via Zoom.
We
That's
could,
a fun way to do it, so you can still do it.
because the Friday is really just signing the documents.
Yeah, yeah.
If you thought you were leaving on Thursday, we could move the Thursday meeting to Wednesday. There would not be anything wrong with us moving the Thursday meeting to Wednesday.
again, this is everybody
Big
saying, hey,
block.
this is.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, anybody got any problems with that? Well, I didn't. But, this, I don't know anything about it other than it starts on Tuesday the 12th, which was my mother's birthday. And ends, what's my Monday the 18th, so
Mm.
who knows? I don't know.
Okay.
It's really a, one of those things where everybody was saying, we ought to try to go to the beach this year. It would be a good time to do it. Let's not go when all the crowds there. Let's
Yeah.
try to go either before
Sure.
or after, you know. And so those days got thrown in there, but they could probably easily be moved.
Hey, if I was doing it, I would still go on a trip and just join these.
Yes,
kids,
do.
you know,
Yeah.
For real, because those two meetings are not like
Yeah.
big meetings.
Right,
I would change.
And you know, the thing about it is your family, you're not gonna always have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the only meeting that is the important one is the Thursday, the March 7th, when the
Yeah.
commission reviews the
Right.
provisional ballot.
Yeah, sure, that's when most of the things are.
And you,
decided.
and you
Yeah,
really
yeah.
need to be present for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the other ones, then we're just waiting to see if anyone shows up and
Yeah,
then opening and counting
we
the
might not be
ballots.
doing anything.
That's
We're
right.
not
Signing
That's
the
right.
document.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, I will ask for those and make myself.
And where's that one at 9 o'clock?
The one on the 15th,
No, the 7th.
the 7th.
7th is at 9. Mhm. And on the 14th is 9,
Yeah, and the
and the
15th.
15th is 1.
Yeah, that's-
I just remember.
Well, we're going through them so quickly. Okay,
So,
any other questions about those?
No, they're not.
And we'll review on those after first of the year
Sure,
anyway.
Mhm.
Okay. Last item on the agenda is the budget for, it's basically a review of this year. Since we might want to spend some money toward the end of the year.
Well, we cannot,
We can't.
they cut off our spending.
Oh,
but y'all can't do that stuff anymore.
wow.
And moved for the 15th.
Man, you shouldn't have waited on.
Well,
I
I've
didn't even think of that.
spent all our money.
Oh.
Not all of it. but okay.
Good stuff.
I mean, that just sounded like it sounded. It's all gone.
I know we've had some things that we run into, which is not unusual. But we've had to, we got
So if you start at the top, our salary one looks kind of bad in the fact that we're in the hole for the salary full-time. That is an accounting thing. Myself, Tanya and Ron are considered full-time because we work the 30 hours and get the health insurance. And so for accounting purposes, they've kind of put the money there, but obviously I didn't have any money in that line item, so it looks bad. So we will not be negative at the end of our
Yeah.
personnel services. So we're
next
good there.
part-time one, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll be okay there. Then when we get into supplies, I will adjust these line items out of general supply so that we're not negative there. I still have $1,000 that I've spent that I haven't not received the bill for provisional ballots, the envelopes. So when that comes in, that'll leave that line at about 2,400. So I feel like we got 3 express votes. Got the 2 DS200s from Benton County.
Those purchases have all been.
Those have all been completed.
Okay.
We've replaced half of the wheels on the DS200s. And so we've been buying things to go forward. We spent a lot of money just on card stock to reprint all of the cards that go out. So I used that deadline of what do we need for 2024 and try to purchase things that we know we need for next year that we can start on this year because we don't have a lot of time for the primary. And then the next set of numbers is the other services. The only one we're negative on is we're on 2 of those, the lease machinery and contract overage. So there's an encumbrance in there that this is one for our copiers. And so at the beginning of the year, they make a PO for what they are saying the billing is gonna be for the copiers. I think they, oh, I know they did, they overestimated what that is, and so once that encumbrance is gone, we will not be in the hole there. And then the other one is the contract overages, and that's because of all the printing we're doing, getting ready for
Oh,
2024. But I have money to be able to pull there, so we will not end the year with a negative.
You'll
budget.
adjust these accordingly.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
super. Okay, so you feel good about all the numbers, and we're not concerned that there's some kind of an issue anywhere that is gonna ding us.
No, and that's why I don't like to go all the way down to zero, because what if there is something that I did forget that we purchased? I mean,
Yeah.
and so the only outstanding one I have is the bill from Absolute for the provisional ballot envelopes. And so, yeah.
Well, the 92% for the, total is, percent used. We got 8% left, and how much? When is this, the end at the end of the calendar year?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
So, the end of the calendar year, that number will go up to something around 100%.
Oh, good job.
Yeah. Okay, are you guys gonna have an opportunity to take a vacation between now and then?
well, these two are. We're going to even Saturday.
Oh, are you? Okay. Your business done.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm like
Okay.
8 orders to get.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Debbie, you're good?
I'm leaving on the 26th.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
Jennifer, what are we gonna do with you?
I don't know. I'll be here.
Are you showing up every day?
I probably next week I will take vacation.
Okay.
And not be here the whole week. But I do need to get my cell phone fixed so that. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
actually have the phone forwarded.
Oh,
So I can answer phone calls as needed. But yeah, so next week our office will be pretty much,
Okay.
yeah.
You know what happened to your phone?
It just stopped. That, I received a phone call after 4:30, and then last night, I thought, I need to look and see if anybody's emailed me or, for the meeting that we have today, and no cell service.
Hmm.
So I've got a ticket in for it this morning, so hopefully, because that's text messages, because I was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't text
Sure,
anybody.
yeah.
Receive text from them, so yeah, but next week, and then on Thursday, our department, we're gonna do our little holiday party. For
Okay,
the
good.
staff, we're doing a potluck, so yeah,
Good.
so.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that you're ready for January, because it's gonna be
Yes,
a big deal. Maybe not as big a deal as it has been in past general elections, but it's still gonna require the same amount of work.
the primary, I think, will be busy.
Yeah.
And us with the new sites and getting all of that acclimated. The general election, that will be,
Right.
I think, nothing we've seen before.
Right.
So, yeah.
And we have no clue about the exigencies that may come between here and there,
Yeah,
which
for real, it's gonna be something.
I know. Every year, there's
Yeah.
some kind of a deal.
Always,
Yeah.
always the
So-
biggest election we've ever had.
I know.
With the presidential,
Yeah.
always.
It's
yeah,
crazy, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, gentlemen, other business.
So this is very quick, on the, test that we were running on these Elkins and, West Fork,
Mhm.
early voting. I don't know, I don't even know if we set that up to do that test, if I was here when we did it or not. I mean, it's how much I know about it. I don't know anything.
No, I don't think you were.
I just know that, I feel like going forward as a commission, that when we do something like that, when we set up a test to do that type of thing, I think we need to be, we need to be prepared to maybe say up front how we're going to evaluate, you know, maybe how long we're going to evaluate it, how many.
Well,
That type of thing.
I think that's difficult to say, is it not? Because every election is, whether big or small, is so unique that, you know, you can expect to have 15,000 people show up somewhere and all of a sudden they've gone to another site or something. And I mean, I guess that's what I have learned during my time on the commission is everything you try to predict.
Oh, I'm not trying to predict anything. I'm just saying that, you know, we were about to make a decision based on one
Mhm.
data point. And I think we need at least to be able to say, hey, we're gonna get 3 data points or 4 data points.
Yeah,
before we
yeah,
make a decision
I agree.
on this. It's the only thing I'm saying, and it's, you know, I'm not fussing or anything, I just, it kind of, I just didn't feel right that we were doing the right thing, and so I asked the
okay.
questions, and obviously, the numbers were low that, 2020 election, but in 2022, which was where the numbers should have gone down because it was an off-year election, those two actually went up by over 50%.
Was it over 50?
Yeah.
It was still pretty low.
Pretty low numbers. I feel like since I've been on the commission, the commission's operated one criticism of government, which is not always fair,
Yeah.
is it should operate more like a business, right? And I think sometimes that's fair criticism and sometimes it's not fair criticism.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's not set up to function like a business, but other times I think it's good.
Yeah.
You know, government should be more agile, trying different things, you know, like a business would do. And I feel like since I've been on the commission, we have made pretty big changes pretty quickly at different times to try to use the resources the best and
Right.
benefit the voters the best. And so,
And the most voters.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And so we haven't always waited multiple years to make changes for some sites, you know what I mean? And I think we had said, okay, we'll try these smaller sites, 2 weeks of early vote. And if there's not a ton of folks voting out there, it doesn't seem like it's worth having 2 weeks open, we'll cut it back to 1 week. And then we'll take that week, those resources for that first week and put them somewhere else and try another early vote location somewhere else and see if we get more numbers. So I forget, Jim, if you were on the commission then or not, I don't think you were, but probably some of the hard part is just and you'll get, you know, the longer you're on here, I feel like I've got better at remembering things and picking up on it and all of that, but I think we had probably talked about that and had that idea in our minds. And then also, I think it was just a matter of, well, hey, there's 12 folks voting every single day at each one of these. You know, we can put another early vote site in Fayetteville and you get hundreds of people every single day, like no question, right? So it's a trade-off of, you know, 1 week here, 2 weeks here, that sort of thing. And there's not always, I mean, we look at the data definitely, but I feel like we haven't always waited like multiple election cycles for the data because something pans out or doesn't pan out. And then we try to make changes.
And we've also had to adjust to, again, exigencies, things that
Always.
that
You always have.
and it that's where every election ends up being a completely new animal that the ones in the past didn't. And I think what Max says about the longer you're on the commission, the more you realize we can make changes quickly. We don't have to, I mean, it's all a big test.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't argue with any of what y'all guys are saying. I agree with you 100%, and I think you do a fabulous job here, both of you.
You do.
I do. And, but I'm gonna tell you, and you, and all you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, holy cow. And you answer my questions, and I know I'll probably ask the same question 3 or 4 times, which, you know, just because it takes me a while. But you know, just understand what I was seeing at that point was the numbers, and then when I asked the question, well, what did we do in 2022, and those numbers went up. I said, well, wait a minute, because, and that 2022 was an off-year election.
Yeah.
Well, at a time when you think that would go down. And so what I'm looking at is, and I know you do this a lot, I'm looking at those voters. They have found this place to vote, and they came and voted, and then they went up 50% in the off-year election and voted there. And I'm thinking, what are they gonna do if
When
it's
you're
not
not
open?
there.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think we ought to know that before we make that. Final.
Yeah.
Well, and the way I look at it is if it's, there's 10 people voting a day and it goes up 50%, there's 15 people voting a day and it's still a tiny number.
Right.
And again, I don't want to get into, we don't look at just the cost straight up, right? Okay, we
Right.
spent this much per voter to allow them to vote. But definitely, I mean, I guess I think that a little bit, you know, to some degree with smaller outlying
Well,
areas. And
because
then
you've got to
thinking
have minimum four
every single
coworkers
time,
in
yeah.
every station. And
That's the hard part.
it does end up being a cost for little return.
Yeah, and so I get it from your perspective, you've got on the commission and you see, oh, this has been open 2 weeks. You know, for these elections, and you feel like we're cutting it and somehow harming the community out there, or not giving them the chance to vote. But I feel like we're seeing it from a different perspective. We were just trying 2 weeks out there originally. It was a big deal to
Yeah,
open
that's
those for 2 weeks, and we wanted to see, okay, can the community support it for 2
Mhm.
weeks? Or are these small enough areas, we should just give them 1 week and cut it back and try it somewhere else. I think maybe we're just looking at it from different perspectives too,
Yeah.
based on our time on here.
And maybe I didn't understand the metrics that I was looking for.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys understand the metrics better than I do. but
Sure.
I'm looking at it and saying, you know, when we do this, we can't predict the exigencies and that
Yeah.
type of thing, but we can surely say, well, we're gonna look at metrics, you know, one time, we'll look at one time, and if it doesn't do good, we're gonna close it. Or
Yeah.
2 times, 3 times, you know,
Right.
and have some, sense of purpose of what we're gonna do. If it takes so much effort to make the decision to open it once, let's take a little effort to, you know, to determine how we're going to measure it. So that's all I'm saying.
No, that's fair, and I think we had all been thinking that, but it was not presented that way to you or framed that way.
Mm.
The question was, yeah,
I'm good.
okay, cool.
Okay,
Said my piece.
unless there's other business.